continue this theme of forbidden knowledge with this, and not that I'm privy to access to some form of like arcane or guarded uh, lessons, but just things that I have fathomed that are a function of different things I've looked into that would be off the beaten path. But what else? I gotta be careful about tying in some of these concepts because I attempt some very avant-garde statements, daring, bold statements, but then I also get off on tangents, and sometimes I don't tie in what I was talking about. So taken out of context or without completing the idea, it could lean into a different direction than what I intended. But what I was saying is that um, some people would feel differently about the word magic. Some people would think that magic would be like something like sleight of hand. Sleight of hand is actually still magic if you appreciate what magic is and can be. Sleight of hand would feature into that, I think. But then also profound things can be appreciated as magical. When I was saying that I grew up in a community in the Southwest, from about just going into kindergarten all the way through elementary in the Southwest. The place I was in is called the Land of Enchantment. Is actually the name of the place, but that's actually what my experience there was, coming through it, and then shortly thereafter, as a child, I could appreciate something of that would have to be enchanted. But some of the beautiful things I remember there were just the type of people I knew there growing up. I knew so many beautiful people growing all my life, but especially where I grew up in the Southwest as a unique a unique community as part of a university campus, a home for student families, and just the type of adults. It just informed in terms of the students that place would draw, but then also their families, because to be pursuing education as an adult with a family, that some people might appreciate that as reckless and daring, and like an extravagance of like time and effort when you have like mouths to feed. But back then in the 90s, education was something different than now, where you were really kind of barred from a lot of outcomes, enjoying a lot of outcomes, and like a potential earning potential for you and a family outside of education. Largely speaking, I would say maybe more so, that could be arbitrary, but more so in the 90s, entry to access to information, learning, know-how, and opportunity was a little bit more so relegated to the ivory towers of education. And so if you did not matriculate from high school to college, that whether or not it really meant something, that could be arbitrary, because still even people that did the greatest stuff then, they kind of found different doors into things, and it would still, a lot of things would amount to who you know back then as now. An example of that would be stuff like a music producer. So even to this day, it's somewhat difficult to become a musician in general, but also a music producer, just because of some of the nature of how you approach something like music or music production. It affects how you're able to engage it. It's kind of like, if you can remember the film Avatar, where he had to jump on that flying horse animal alien a certain way and form a connection with it in a certain way, and the way he did so was completely unique to him, and what it was very challenging, and you had to kind of get it right, because a lot of things are habit forming, and habit builds upon habit. So if you get off to a incorrect foot, get in your way, and it takes a while to get into a footing to attempt it again. So it can take a lot of goals to have a facility for something. For me, it was like that with music, but music production might be like that. But my understanding is that the people who got good, they had they started as an intern, or they had some kind of backdoor inroad into being around people that would get them that type of skill. But all I meant to say is that there's some very interesting backgrounds of people that I grew up with. But one of the beautiful things I can remember would be like some of the girls I grew up with. If you can remember, I think that heartbreak is a natural part of development. It has to do with what a woman actually is, and what a male is, and what a woman is to a male, and a male is to a woman, and what it would take for a male to grow, to have the seasoning and the standing and the experience and the grit, frankly speaking, to entertain and challenge and inspire a woman, and then also to be mature enough around a woman to satisfy and sustain different needs of hers. It would take some of the experiences of many heartbreaks to get to that point. But if you can remember before you had your heart broken, when you really could feel love, and you were somewhat naive about love and sensitive to it, probably, I would imagine anyone watching this, that your one of your deepest experiences, your most mature and deepest experience of love would be somewhere around high school, like maybe your first real experience of like dating in high school, whatever talking on the phone meant or whatnot. Whether or not you consummated that physically, that would be a deep experience. That's something that I had around ninth grade. But before that, when I was very young, I mean like very young, like maybe kindergarten, first grade, something like that. There would be these girls in the Southwest that I would simply, it wasn't just falling in love. Like I could feel, like I could feel the girl, like we'd be like at a park where they'd have like free lunch and stuff like that, and it'd bring all the families out. And as a girl that I had a crush on would be walking out to the park, I could feel her coming. Or if she wasn't there, I could feel how many what's appreciated as hours it's going to be till I get to wake up early in the morning and go to not free lunch but free breakfast, knowing this girl is going to be there, and just feel what her presence was going to be like. I would start to get reminiscent, and I'd get reminiscent and rose colored glasses, and about the next morning that I hadn't experienced yet, anticipating a beautiful girl that I was going to see, my own age at that point, very young, like first, second grade. And then I would more so just act an ass to get attention. So there'd be like some swings, and I'd be like making lots and lots of noise and just making a ham of myself just to get some attention from this girl that was so beautiful. But then there was another girl who was like maybe at least like many grades older than me, like eighth grade when I was very young. And at that point, she would probably be a maiden, is what she would be appreciated with. That would be the actual term for what she would be at that point. But she had an interest in me because I would like one time they were playing Ding Dong Ditch, some older kids, and I damn it showed up to the door dressed like Shaka Zulu and acting like Shaka Zulu, little baby Shaka Zulu, answering the door of someone playing Ding Dong Ditch. Not trying to defend anyone, but just like who are these cool people at my house? Oh yeah, oh I'm Shaka Zulu, but who are you? That was my attitude, but I actually felt like that. And then there would be like a snowball fight not too long afterwards, and something of the experience of our ancestors is still in us. So I think some things like even like playful things like play combat, snowball fight, something about our ancestral experiences of what like a skirmish would be like, I think is in us. So I was running up. I wasn't trying to throw snowballs from far away. I was trying to run up on these older kids like on all their stupid snowballs to get right up next to them and throw it in their face. And she appreciated that, and like she took an active interest in me when I was young. And I remember like sometimes I think that riding a bicycle is one of the deepest things, because the balance that it would, when you're riding up on two wheels, you are within the actual balance and magnetism of the earth, and what you have to do to keep that bike up, it's actually corresponding with how the earth is existing right now on a deep level. But also at a young age, we're just simply more balanced because we haven't had as much opportunity to be falsified by false notions and false paradigms. So the experience of riding on a bike is very beautiful to observe a young person like that. But then also this girl, she was a maiden no less, and beautiful. And sometimes she would let me ride on her bike with her and like take me through the neighborhood. And that was one of the deepest experiences that would approach like what's appreciated as magic, for me at least. And then I had another friend who was really cool. Like he would do stuff like we were friends, our dads were colleagues, and then he moved away to Tennessee, which I would actually move there many years later with no relationship to why he went there that I know of. But then he would send me like chain letters. Like we actually didn't get along in the community. But then one time our dads were at a restaurant like far across town, and we got to talking, and we kind of hit it off, and we became like real life friends. And he actually looked me up when we were adults. But he would do little cool savvy stuff like write something crazy on a piece of paper, and it didn't make sense if you looked at it directly, but you had to hold it up to a mirror to see what it meant. He was just like really savvy like that, and he scored in the highest percentile of English. And I think that some of you talk a lot like people who impressed you. So I think some of my cadence and mannerisms in speech are somewhat similar to how he communicated. And some other if I take the strongest communicators that I've experienced in life and I listen back to myself, a lot of them are in me. But you actually see more of other people and experience more of other people than yourself. So in some ways, you're more of other people. You are some of the best of other people, I think. And so he was one of those for me. But when we were adults, he said, that place was really magical, and only people who were there know how magical that place was. So what I wanted to say with this video is that magic is real, and it's not necessarily supernatural, but it's a different range of what is natural than what we're used to. And I just want to make a couple statements in that